damp AstroTurf. Now Pastor Maldonado is changing to slick tyres. Massa now puts in an 18.5 for the first sector.
And soft tyres then on the Williams, not the super softs. They're about 7/10 of a second slower, harder, more durable compound, although we're looking very much at a one-stop race here. Both of them are lasting pretty well, aren't they?
And pretty much everyone is now changing to slick tyres, Ted.
But significantly, Lewis Hamilton out on the super soft, so the red stripe tyres. So that will have an impact on tyre usage later on. So does Nico Rosberg go out on the super soft tyres. The reason they'll probably get away with it is that it's looking increasingly, if it's dry properly, like it could be a one-stop race tomorrow, in which case they wouldn't need so many.
Might be the soft compound tyre the one you want to be on for the majority of the race as well. It was performing very well indeed yesterday. Maldonado goes second fastest, then behind Valtteri Bottas, just ahead of the Williams, Felipe Massa.
Both Williams on the soft compound, Maldonado splits them on the super soft. Who else is out there on that tyre? Nasser, Verstappen.
Jensen, wettest bit seems to be turn 8. Just be careful, turn 8.
Which is where Will Stevens and where Felipe Massa had their moments as well. Do you know the Williams cars are the only ones on soft compound tyres?
Massa's a back that lap. He was mighty fast in the middle sector, relatively speaking, so far in this session anyway, and decided to come in. Whether he's had a bit of an adventure or they fancy a set of super softs, I don't know. With 6 minutes remaining, it's got to be for a set of super softs.
Is this one Felipe Massa, the roundabout lap? Down to turn 3. He's gone onto the super soft tyre now. He rejoins the track once again. So just under 6 minutes to go in this session. It's Hamilton right behind Marcus Ericsson, but not for long. Glanced past the Sauber. On his way now down to turn 3. Really tricky corner, even in both dry conditions this Martin, because of the descent down into it.
It is, the track falls away, you see the back end of the cars falling away from them as well in fully dry conditions. Lewis quite cautious, understandably. It's long left-hander, and on the exit of this, it's across to the right, where that damp patch is just there, and he's across that with no problems whatsoever. Then the unsighted turn 8, where you flick across the pit lane as the apex of the corner. You go very, very wide through there, find a little bit more grip. Final turn into the heart of the downhill section, and a short pit straight, climbing uphill so you can brake a little bit later, and it's only P2 there for Lewis Hamilton, because Jenson Button in the McLaren, while we're watching that, is fastest.
Yeah, most people's choice for pole today, Jenson Button, I'm sure. But he did he's had a very, very good middle sector, Jenson Button, on that lap. Hamilton has now just set the fastest first sector time. The only driver in the pits is Felipe Massa. It was Sebastian Vettel, who's now just come out again. Needed a couple of laps to get the temperature into the tyres that he wants for the optimum grip. 22 degrees track temperature at the moment. Air temperature only 12 degrees. And Ted, now to you.
So from being fastest pretty much all weekend, Sebastian Vettel now feeling a little bit vulnerable down, what is he, just around 12
P12,
yeah. And he's pitted, and Ferrari put him on another brand new set of the red stripe super soft tyres.
Then they've done that. Nico Rosberg has just gone off the track at turn 1 again. That's a couple of times he's done that now.
Toro Rosso out front again then, Sainz and Verstappen.
Not for long though, I fear, because Lewis Hamilton comes round the final turn and crosses the line to go quickest by nearly 4/10 of a second with a 1:13.1. The best time in Q1 last year, by the way, was Hamilton's a 1:09.5. Shows you how much slower the track is after the rain this morning. Here is one.
Almost nobody's safe here, because the times are going to tumble like a fruit machine as the track, every lap, every corner, where there's a little bit more grip out there until they get overconfident like that. You see the bib underneath of the front part of the under train scratching along the surface there, and Ricardo's Red Bull.
Jenson Button saying to his McLaren team as Bottas goes fifth fastest, backing up your point, Martin. Stick with this tyre. It will just get better and better. We should stay out and just do as many laps as we can at the moment.
Yeah, I think there's an awful lot for the drivers to learn as well.
Certainly for Sebastian Vettel, who's had gearbox issues this weekend and hasn't got half as much running in as he would have wanted. His teammate Kimi Raikkonen, who had a flat-spotted tyre and couldn't do his long runs as well yesterday afternoon. Vettel here, look how much clear of the bottom 5 he is just on this latest lap.
Needs it though, two and a bit minutes to go, and Rosberg and Vettel in the danger zone.
Rosberg quickest overall in the middle sector on his latest lap. We've just seen Nico Hülkenberg go fastest through the first sector. Vettel goes fastest overall by nearly 7/10 of a second. Now we're into the 112. That won't last for long. We'll get to the 111s in a few moments as well. Daniel Kvyat down in 18th fastest. He really does need to get a move on. He's got this one more to try and get through.
Sliding heavily there on the throttle.
Behind the man of Marussia, Will Stevens. Saw Stevens struggling for grip, and then Bottas himself having a wobbly moment as while we watch that, Carlos Sainz goes back to the top again. We've got just under a minute and a half. It's Roberto Merri and Will Stevens, Danny Kvyat, Sergio Perez and Felipe Nasser, currently the bottom 5.
Raikkonen though, only 15th at the moment.
Yeah, on a personal best lap. You're right, Martin. Absolutely nobody safe out there. Minute to go. Barnstorming finish to Q1 on the cards here. Tense moments in the garage. The three-time world champion, as Niki Lauda was, of course, or someone like Ron Dennis. We've seen the McLaren team pick up 6 wins over the years here at the Austrian Grand Prix. 9th only for Kimi Raikkonen. How good is that time going to be? Into the 1:12, but is it really going to be enough? We'll find out very shortly as Nasser now crosses the line. Goes ahead of Raikkonen.
The man under pressure on this lap, Daniel Kvyat, Red Bull. I know he's got a lot of grid penalties to take as well, or the grid penalty to take, but at the moment he's last, he's got 1 lap to get it done.
And there's a lot of traffic out there as well. Valtteri Bottas is still sticking around Will Stevens and Daniel Ricciardo. He's got cars around that I'm sure he would rather not have, but there aren't many open spaces on this 2.68-mile circuit. We're on board with Fernando Alonso in the bottom 5 at the moment.
The two McLarens are fighting it out not to drop out at this stage. They've done an identical first sector time, and we're waiting for Jensen's over the line now with a 12.6 P11.
And Kimi Raikkonen, Martin, I don't like the look of Kimi Raikkonen's lap and or the position that he's in at the moment. He's 15th fastest, but he's not put in a very good lap. He's coming into the pits. So Raikkonen now drops into the bottom 5, and he is out in Q1. Big name Kimi Raikkonen is out in this session. Here's Danny Kvyat at the moment. Plumb last, wants to set a decent time, goes 8th fastest, pushes Max Verstappen down. Pressure on him as well now.
Verstappen's done 2 personal bests, but he needs to get it right at the end of the lap, and does so.
Goes 3rd fastest. Stevens, Merri, Raikkonen, Button and Perez. Jenson Button is out as well. Sergio Perez looks like he is going to join him. And 2 former world champions knocked out in the first part of qualifying. Jenson Button and Kimi Raikkonen.
Well, how did they manage that? Not enough fuel for that extra lap. How did they manage to get Raikkonen 18th on the grid? He'll move forward when the others take their penalties, but nonetheless, that's still only going to be 4 places further forwards.
Okay, Jensen, I'm afraid that we are out.
His teammate, Fernando Alonso, 15th, scraping through by 100th of a second into the next part of qualifying. That's what, the 4th race in a row? Fernando Alonso's finished 15th in Q1.
Lewis did 12 laps, but he only just got through in 13th place.
There's a bit of traffic.
That car was on a hot lap. The driver is way down there then.
2014, knocked out in Q1.
And Vettel had that problem in Canada, of course, but that was through mechanical issues, not just being slow and being on the track at the wrong time.
Sergio Perez also out for the first time since Spain, not getting through to Q2.
Well, the track obviously caught a few people out. Felipe Nasser, one of the first men to actually get on track with slick tyres, is going down towards that famous turn 8. But if I slow it down, the biggest thing that you're going to see, looks quite dry, the line, but what comes up just in front of him is a little patch. I'm going to try and get around here for you. It's just there, and that is where the track is a little bit damp. And as he carries on through, as soon as these front wheels hit it, the temperature goes out of the tyre and it flicks around on him, the grip is gone. But then we also had the same thing with the Mercedes as well, with Rosberg. And as he goes into turn 1, everything looks okay, but basically he's felt as soon as he started to brake that he hasn't got the grip that he needs. It just runs wide, because if he does, it's going to lock and damage that tyre. So I know, again, it's down to how the track conditions are. This is slightly different because Lewis is obviously on a quick run here. We've got Jenson Button, I think, in front. It looks as if he's going to be out of the way, but of course he comes back on line. Lewis has then done his late braking, and he's had to avoid it by nearly driving off of the track. Tricky, but it's drying, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Well, it proved too tricky for Kimi Raikkonen. We've had the boys back in the trucks there having looked through the onboards. They couldn't see anything obvious as to why he failed on that and couldn't get out of Q1. And actually, when we were watching P3 earlier, we saw him, Max Verstappen was almost, getting a little irate trying to get past him. He's strong today in the wet, the slightly damp conditions.
Yeah, it's always slightly a problem, isn't it, with Kimi? And maybe there was some technical reason. We were just watching him around turn 1. Everything looks fine there, but it's not particularly quick. Very disappointing when you look at where Vettel is. He's up in, I think, 3rd place there in the session.
Yeah, but it's also sometimes how you bring the tyres in, and you haven't quite got them underneath you as soon as you start that lap. That is where you're then sort of on the back foot to start with.
How experienced is he, Johnny?
I know that, yes, but with these tyres, they are tricky things to get right.
Okay, I mean, we saw all the times tumbling throughout that session now. We're still not having there's a few black clouds around, but really, for the moment, it's dry. It's only going to get drier. Do you think, though, that it's still significant enough that they have to stay out there as long as possible because they will be changing so dramatically?
I think so, because if you actually look at the line down the main straight, it's still damp on the left-hand side, which is why you're seeing them on the right, like I just did with Nico Rosberg. So that's where it's dry. But of course, once the left-hand side comes into play, that's where the lap times are actually going to go even quicker. So you're going to need to be there for that.
I would be saying to the drivers, you don't know if it's going to be dry and it's not going to rain again. Looking at that scene there, we can actually see the dark clouds. So I would say they're going to have to put in a banker early on in this session.
Yeah, definitely are.
We'll just grab Will Stevens out there in 19th place. Will, how tricky was that?
It wasn't too bad, to be honest. As soon as it went out, it was pretty dry. But yeah, we knew the session was going to be the last lap would be the quickest. I spent my last lap dicing with Daniel and Massa, so it was frustrating because the only lap we needed, I was battling with 2 cars, so we lost a lot of time through that. But it's one of those sessions. Hopefully, it would have been stayed a little bit wetter for longer.
Yeah, I mean, we were saying that. I mean, it's good to see actually quite a lot of running out there in Q1. You expecting? I was just asking the guys there. You expecting, these times to continue to tumble?
Yeah, massive. So I mean, towards the end, it was pretty much dry, if I'm honest. Just over that, the track was getting drier and drier. So for sure, come the end of quali, it'll be back to dry again.
Go on tomorrow. Appreciate it. Let's get straight back upstairs from Q2 and rejoin Martin and Dave.
Well, we've been listening to the words of Kimi Raikkonen on the team radio. He says we're P17. How the heck is that possible? And I'm sure comments that are echoed throughout the world by the many Kimi Raikkonen fans as well. He is out of qualifying. Sebastian Vettel goes through. Ferrari once more getting a car eliminated in Q1. Right screen then. 15 minutes of Q2 coming up, and who's coming straight out? Both Red Bulls. Ted Travis.
Yeah, popped into the Ferrari garage, Crofty, and Kimi brushed past and stormed out of there and straight into the Ferrari motorhome. Even his partner Minky didn't want to walk with him. Very pretty big high heels, so she couldn't really run up with it. But she sort of followed him back into the moto. He's cooling off there. I can tell you that Ferrari say there's nothing wrong with the car. The car was fueled to complete that lap, but Kimi, for whatever reason, and that's their quote, they say, wasn't able to put the lap together. They think there might have been some traffic, but that might be an excuse. We don't really know until we see the onboard. And but for whatever reason, Kimi wasn't able to put that lap together. So let's just put that into context. When Maurizio Arrivabene, the Ferrari team boss, is thinking about renewing or not renewing Kimi Raikkonen's contract, that sounds, from the vibes I'm getting from the team, like them saying, well, it wasn't the car, Gov. Yeah, look at the driver.
You know what?
For whatever reason.
You know why I blame Ted? Jack Villeneuve.
Could you explain that to people who weren't following us in free practice?
If you haven't been following us, Martin, it's the first time you've got up to the commentary box this weekend. We've got a lovely window right next to us that we should be able to see the pit lane, but we can't. Jack Villeneuve, fellow broadcaster, so I think we'll have to look down so we can't see the pit lane. For every team we go to, it's a hashtag, we want it trending. Sadly, hashtag JB knocked out in Q1 is something that could be trending because he has been again. Is with Natalie.
Jensen, we briefly saw your name in pole in Q1. It was nice to see it back up there, but ultimately you couldn't get out of Q1. It's a real test of character this weekend and the whole of the season, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I think those conditions are always good fun because it's not just about the car that you're driving and the performance that it gives you out there. You have to find your own feet and your own way around, and it was a lot of fun. Really enjoyed it. We got P1 for a while, and P2, and P2 again, and then P6. It was looking strong, but when everyone finds their feet and the circuit drives, it's basically just how quick the package is. So yeah, and we also with the first car, I think, across the finish line, so everyone had another lap in hand. Anyway, just better to get out of the way this weekend when I've got a 25-second penalty, 25-place penalty.
Do you know how these penalties are going to play out? Do you know how you're going to serve them tomorrow? Obviously, you start at the back of the grid. So you have to come in and do the pit stops.
Yeah, I will have a 10-second penalty drive through. I'll have to come in for the first few laps of the race, stop 10 seconds, and then go again, and it can't be classed as a pit stop either.
Does it feel a bit like a test weekend for you in many ways?
Yeah, I suppose. I think with the two different packages on the cars, it's also good for data gathering. But when you get in the car, none of us like testing. We all love racing. That's why we're racing drivers. So you still get in the car and think about racing and competing. So it's the same in qualifying.
Thanks very much, Jason.
I hope he doesn't get another penalty on that for blocking Lewis Hamilton, although Hamilton got through anyway. The stewards don't always look at it in that respect. I'm hoping Toro Rosso will get into the top 10 shootout as well, because I think if the track remains in tricky conditions, I think one of those has got a great chance, maybe both of them, a great chance of a shock result in qualifying.
I know the track is a lot different to how it was at the end of P3. Rosberg goes third fastest, but they were out there doing a lot of laps as well and finding where the lines were and where it was best to place the car.
Hulkenberg fastest at the moment with the new power unit. More power for Force India this week, and they've looked quite strong, haven't they? In free practice when it's been dry, a little bit that they've had. But interestingly, Rosberg only third to those two.
Yeah, adds to the disappointment of Hulkenberg's performance there. His teammate Sergio Perez as Hamilton goes 9th fastest overall, and everyone on super soft tyres once again.
Rosberg got the huge tyres checking up on that. So Rosberg there gets the new tyres, and Hulkenberg is happy.
certainly didn't expect to see Ferrari out in Q1. What happened?
I don't know. I really don't know. So something obviously happened, but the end result is that we managed to somehow get out of P2. So.
Not a technical problem, just a case of struggling with conditions.
Obviously it's a bad day and it's not going to help us for tomorrow. So obviously we'll do our best tomorrow, but not the easiest position we give ourselves.
Doesn't know, or want to say, doesn't want to admit something. Hamilton goes third fastest there, but after third on the dreaded count, he's third after
He's got enough speed to straight line speed, I think, to get through a few cars here. But interestingly, Rosberg Hamilton now first and third again on the new tyres.
last Sunday, 24-hour winner, Nico Hulkenberg, under the trio. Of course, first time winner into this weekend as well. To me, at times, he's looked a much more highly motivated driver on that.
It's a springboard for him. It adds to his credibility. Something he very much can use. It'll be relatively short-lived because Formula 1 moves on quickly, and events will happen in the next race too. The Greek Grand Prix coming up, so he needs to use that as a springboard. As I said, but Ted's got news.
I'm actually down looking at Hulkenberg at the moment, Martin. And yeah, Crotty, he is kind of said. I'll let you know in the next few weeks how whether my success at Le Mans has affected my plans for who I'm going to drive for next year. So we'll see on that one. But as the Lotus is just wheeled back in front of me, a little bit of a pause in the pit lane. Hulkenberg, as you say, went out first. Happy with the car, they're not really changing anything. So they're just going to wait for another few minutes, and then be one of the last to go out. So it's the way of doing things at Force India. Because, as you say, the Phase 3 next generation Mercedes, latest generation Mercedes engine, despite their lack of downforce until they get the new car for the next race.
We just saw quite a lot of graining on the right front of that Red Bull while you were updating us, Ted, so worth keeping an eye on that with the cold temperatures. Just 23 on the track. The super softs appear to be graining up. They're ripping, the surface rips as it slides across the racetrack.
Absolutely. The Honda executives and their new president watching the only man out on track, Fernando Alonso, at the moment. We heard from Jenson Button and Kimi Raikkonen. Let's hear from another man out in Q1, Sergio Perez.
Just how tricky was it out there? How much of a challenge was the track today?
Yeah, it was quite a challenge finding your position, finding your rhythm through these conditions. Obviously, the last lap was the lap that had to count, and I just caught Fernando within a second, and I spent the whole lap behind him. Kimi was behind me, and I just saw that we had to keep the gap to him because if I was getting any closer, I was just losing too much downforce, and yeah, it made things really difficult, and it's very disappointed to be out of Q1.
We know that the B-Spec car is coming for Silverstone, but how confident do you feel in this car at this circuit?
I think we have reason to be pretty confident. I hope tomorrow we can make it into the points and be up there.
Good luck, thanks.
So the fastest lap of the race here last year as well. Sergio Perez. So that's a bit up. Obviously, sluggish. It's 5 minutes. Q2. Now they start to pour out of the pits again. Sebastian Vettel making his way down the pit lane. Sauber. Marcus Ericsson. Hamilton. Mercedes. Swedish driver. Rosberg and Danny Kvyat already out on track. Very fine line down the pit straight. Ricciardo still trying to generate heat into those tyres. Good to me.
Get some lateral force into them. Trying to bring them back up. A little bit gently. They can do it through the brake pedal as well. Heat from the disc is in a very variable way depending on how they set it all up underneath there. That heat is directed at the wheel rim. Try to keep the temperatures up.
This is
Lewis Hamilton, this is your race set. The assumption is that A, it's going to be dry for tomorrow's race, and B, using the set of tyres that he's going to start the race. The tyres he sets his fastest lap on in Q2.
I would put the new Honda Boss in a bubble at the back of the garage. I'd take him out and turn 8 and 9. It's hard. No point being up on that track box. There's nothing you can see up there. That's just for us for TV, really. The bosses don't even need to be up there. They're not doing anything, I don't think. You get out on racetrack, it looks fantastic out there. I loved that spot yesterday. Seeing the drivers and the cars working so well. So much energy going on.
Then you can see how much faster all the other cars were compared to his.
They all very fast out there.
Felipe Massa, how speedy is this lap? Second fastest behind Nico Rosberg. Just under 3 minutes to go. Bottom 5, Sebastian Vettel hasn't set the lap time in Q2. Romain Grosjean, Ricardo, Marcus Ericsson. Williams. Watching on the side course of the FIA President, Jean Todt. Nothing untoward, that's why you saw the yellow flag. Sebastian Vettel goes fastest with a 109.3. It was Daniel Ricciardo who went off the track. Here comes Nico Rosberg, crosses the line 0.08 faster than Vettel.
Hamilton's not had a good middle sector though. Very good. He's a challenge at the moment. Only third then, so he lost a third of a second somewhere in the middle part of this lap. And his woes continue. He's now getting through into the top 10 shootout.
Okay, Lewis struggling to come up with a target. We think 9.5 will be the cut-off, but the track may improve quite a lot.
Which basically means he's going to have to go out forming lap again.
Yeah, so he's going to have to see what he's doing on this lap. It's not a quick to this. Basically, got to go again. Got to keep the tyres up on this steady lap and go again.
Daniel Ricciardo then down at turn 3. His chances 1 iota. We look at Ricciardo once again. How close it is between Rosberg and Vettel at the top. Ferrari seem so far from what we've seen this weekend to have the horsepower to really challenge Mercedes this afternoon.
Grosjean there getting his tyres wet with oversteering through turn 8 and then rally crosses into turn 9 and throws the lap away, and it throws the next lap away as well because you get such a slow run onto the pit straight.
He is going to be very much in trouble now if that's the case, Martin, because he's not going to have time to get round this lap and start before the checkered flag. Carlos Sainz goes 11th fastest. He's got one more lap, and Nico Hülkenberg, we're watching the clock for at the moment, comes round the final turn now. Hülkenberg was the early pace setter here, and he's on a personal best lap again to try and get into Q3. Crosses the line, goes 4th fastest with a 109.6.
Sainz is out. He's not going to make it on that first sector, so surprisingly this one for Alonso could be in there. Lewis is on the fastest first sector. He has got to go again. So is Rosberg. They want to get to 9-0 to feel comfortable in the top 10 shootout.
Yep, and he's continuing on, but losing time to Rosberg in the middle sector. Going to be quite tight, I think, for both Lotus cars here. Grosjean, who we saw having the off. Here's Pastor Maldonado as well on the screen with the clock. We'll keep an eye on both as Grosjean completes this lap now. Is it good enough for him? Just 9th fastest for Romain Grosjean, but he's got pressure behind him. First of all, coming from his teammate Pastor Maldonado, but he only goes 11th. Maldonado then misses out on Q3, and he's in that bottom 5 with Ericsson and Sainz and Alonso and Ricciardo. Ricciardo crosses the line, P14 only for him. What about his teammate then, Danny Kvyat, who at the moment is 10th fastest. Alonso is not going to beat that. Danny Kvyat, just bit by bit, chipping away at the early season advantage that Daniel Ricciardo had at Red Bull. It's now 5-3. Now qualified his teammate this afternoon.
Getting frustrated, he's been picking off outside of the car, and that watching, that's all really about the 5 they're going out. But meanwhile, Rosberg, again, look at that, 0.4 of a second quicker than Hamilton. And a lot of that's in the middle. Remaining Ferrari up there. Bottas is in there too, and Hülkenberg confirming his great pace. And one Toro Rosso through then with Max Verstappen in 6th. Carlos Sainz in 13 will be mortified with that.
Okay, Pastor, I'm afraid we are P11. We have just missed getting through to the session, I'm afraid.
And on the team radio, we've not heard this yet, but Danny Kvyat on the team radio saying to his engineer, come on, Daniel. He was right behind him on the track, running right behind him on those laps. I wonder if he felt that Ricciardo just wasn't quite going fast enough, and that was scuppering him a little bit.
Okay, mate, we did not get through.
For the first time this season then, Daniel Ricciardo misses out on Q3, leaving just Hamilton and Rosberg as the only 2 drivers to get into Q3 at every Grand Prix.
And that has ramifications in the race, doesn't it? With the penalty, he can't serve all of his penalties from there.
He's going to get a 5-second time penalty at his first pit stop. So
Probably his only pit stop.
yeah. So he'll stop, he'll wait 5 seconds, and then they'll get on with changing his tyres. Good point there, Martin.
Yeah, double whammy there for Ricciardo.
Triple whammy. It's also the first time he's not reached Q3 at that time. As well, Fernando Alonso, 15 passes for him, so the 25 he will get a stop-go race penalty. And serve like Jenson Button will in the first 3 laps of the race.
But it's still a problem for these drivers, and I think if we look with Danny Rick down towards turn 3, everything looks okay. I think it's just generally he hasn't got enough tyre temperatures, so he hasn't got the grip, just runs very, very wide and off the circuit. But the biggest thing, I think, is when you then go onto Lewis. Now, Lewis is obviously on a hot lap here, so he's going around turn 3 here, and of course then it's Danny Rick coming on the circuit. He has to avoid him slightly. Maybe he lost a little bit of time on that front, but they're still finding it difficult, so it's going to be a tricky one for this pole position shootout.
Yeah, how much of a problem that's going to be, isn't it? You're out there, you get involved in the skirmish. That much about last qualifying session, like Bruce Lee,
I mean, I think that so I think they've probably got most of the cars out of the way as well. That's helping us the next session. It's not such a big factor.
No, but it's a typical situation, is it, when a track sort of has a bit of rain, it goes green again, and of course you've got to get sort of all that rubber down you were just mentioning, and then you've actually got to learn where the circuit's at, and it keeps on changing all the way through. But someone like Lewis, you know, is going to find it sort of difficult, but experience always sort of pays off sometimes. But we do know it's a bit of a bogey track for him so far.
That's the debrief with Dr. Marco. I'm going to interview him later. I mean, his frustration, it was the first time actually I had this regular interview after qualifying. It's the first time I'd actually seen a really frustrated Daniel Ricciardo. I mean, it seems like it's spilling out of all of them down there right now, isn't it?
I mean, is that the first time he's not qualified in the top 10? Actually, I mean, it's amazing how things change so quickly in the sport. It's you know, you ride fantastic, having all the pain that comes. Is coming towards Red Bull as well. I mean, the whole team's in a bit of a dire situation.
Talking of fantastic arrivals, there's Max Verstappen, who has just been right at home here. I mean, we talked about this in the build-up to qualifying here today, but there's just something about the way he looks on this track compared with all the others. Well, why is he able to extract the absolute maximum out of his car here? I mean, Carlos Sainz is going to be disappointed with that going out in 13s when they see what his young teammates done.
Yeah, Carlos definitely will be disappointed, and I think it's that technical side that is very difficult around here. And what sort of intrigues me with Verstappen is when you hear him talking about his karting days, and he seems to fundamentally use that experience when he's in a Formula 1 car, and he's able to sort of change his life.
clean sheet of paper as well, isn't it? Your career when you're that new to the sport, so you can come in and, you know, everything you do is fantastic. Well, everything that's good that you do is fantastic, and it's all on an upward trajectory. And you've seen with Daniel, you know, at some points it doesn't, well, it can't continue to keep going up, you know. So, you know, Fernando Alonso, how does he feel? You know, and it sometimes you have to cope with those disappointments. That's part of the difficulty of F1. It's a huge amount of disappointment.
What's lovely about this is the youngsters. The youngsters seem to be that wonderful breed that are exciting to watch.
At the moment, he looks a little bit more comfortable, doesn't he, than Lewis Hamilton. Will he be able to take pole? Remember, it's 18 in a row for them. At the moment, Mercedes, let's return to our commentary team.
So one more pole needed for Mercedes. It is a complete full 12-month period. So they've taken every single pole that they missed out on. They put a bit of distance between themselves and Ferrari in that Q2 session, with a gap from Hamilton back to Sebastian Vettel, 0.3 of a second. The gap from Rosberg was 0.7 of a second. So are we looking now like a Mercedes pole, or is there still a Ferrari challenge on it?
And that's the biggest gap we've seen, isn't it, between Mercedes and Ferrari all through the week. And right now, Rosberg looks more comfortable than Hamilton at the wheel of that Mercedes-Benz. Let's see what happens in the top 10 shootout.
Senna and Schumacher. Mercedes to get pole. 26 consecutive poles from Mercedes-Benz engine, the longest streak for an engine in F1 history. What are the fight between Hülkenberg, Verstappen, and maybe Nasser as well? Bottas and Massa, who's going to win out the Williams? Fiat. Top 10 shootout. Remembering, of course, that amongst those top 10, Fiat will have a 10-place grid penalty. 10.
Valtteri Bottas in the Williams, the first one to join the track, followed by Felipe Nasser. And congratulations to Nasser for making this far, Crofty. You've got to say, stunning performance in the Sauber after they had such a horrible Canadian Grand Prix. They've really come back with a vengeance. Felipe Massa has also gone out. But Lewis Hamilton, well, if he can get pole from here, I think that will count as one of the biggest turnarounds in any kind of weekend of his career, because it just isn't looking like it at the moment, as we've all been saying. He does have the benefit, if there is any kind of benefit in it, of being the second Mercedes driver on the road, though. Has been the whole time in this qualifying 1, 2, and now 3, and indeed now as well. So we'll see whether that works for him. That's Hülkenberg going out in the background. And I wonder if Sebastian Vettel's just going to do the one run.
Hülkenberg and Nasser and Kvyat having to go out on used super softs. They've used their that means Rosberg, Hamilton, Bottas, Massa, Grosjean, Vettel and Verstappen have enough new ones available to get out there twice on a brand new set.
See what happens. Right on board now with Valtteri Bottas. Ted talking about Felipe Nasser at Sauber. First time they've been in Q3 since China 5 races ago. Now here's a man that could have been maybe on pole this time last season, Valtteri Bottas. And to settle nice and smooth through turn 2.
Reminds you just how extreme motorsport is, doesn't it? I mean, a set of used tyres has done all of 20 miles. 5+ G through the corners and 5.5 under braking, and thick end of 850 horsepower and lots of newtons of torque through the rear with the throttle pedal. And when you go back out again, they just won't give you the same grip. You can't brake quite as hard. You can't get the nose into the apex. You can't get on the throttle as hard or as early. We're talking small amounts, but it adds up around the racetrack.
Romain Grosjean, as we watch Felipe Nasser, is pitting. He's got brake-by-wire issue, and he's coming into maybe than Valtteri Bottas. Rosberg on pole with a 1:08.8.
2/10 slower than his best effort though in Q2.
What about Hamilton then? As he crosses the line now, fastest in the first sector over the whole lap. He's nearly 4/10 down on his teammates.
Middle part of the lap. He's just not got it in the middle part of this lap. Second sector.
It's a consistent theme, isn't it, throughout this qualifying session for Lewis Hamilton. Nico Hulkenberg next to cross the line for Force India goes third fastest ahead of Felipe Nasser. Now makes his way out of the garage and onto the track for the first time in Q3. He's a bit out of sync from everybody else. Will be slowing down or coming back into the pits whilst he'll be trying to get a hot lap in. Is he the man to split the two Mercedes this afternoon? Can Valtteri Bottas on this, his second flying lap, get up there? Well, he gets close, but not quite close enough. Only a tenth of a second between himself and Hamilton, but it's Bottas onto the second row. What about his teammate, Felipe Massa, now coming round the final corner? DRS wide open, getting himself that extra little push, and he goes third fastest ahead of Valtteri Bottas, but still he's out in front. 10.
So no action from Grosjean at the moment. They think it's slightly more serious than the by-wire problem. It's understeered. Just can't get the bite from the front tyres in that middle sector, and he's been fiddling around with the setup of the front and rear suspension all weekend long. I've watched him in free practice 1, 2 and 3 and hasn't got it yet. They're suggesting some changes on the diff. Let's see if